How's it going, YouTube? I'm back at it again with another video. My name is Jose, and today I'm going to be showing you how to replace your front strut assembly. So you want to start out by securely lifting your vehicle or jacking it up. If you're in a shop with a lift, then it shouldn't be that much of a big deal. But if you're using a jack and jack stands, you're going to want to have to lift it and secure it properly. And since we're doing the front shocks, your jack placement, this is the driver's side of the car, your jack placement cannot be anywhere under the suspension where the strut assembly is bolted onto, right there. So my lift point is still going to be at the center on one of the cross members, and I'm going to place a jack stand right here on the frame just to keep it stable. And don't forget to chock your back wheels. Okay guys, so we have our tire off now. And I forgot to mention that if you don't have an impact, you will have to loosen your lug nuts while your vehicle is still on the ground, because once it's in the air you won't be able to loosen them with the breaker bar. And I put my tire underneath the vehicle for added security. Just be careful with your jack stand not to bump into it. So for this application, you're going to need a breaker bar to bust the nuts loose if you've never taken them off before, a ratchet, and having an impact helps. So to start out, you're gonna have to loosen this bolt right here from the bottom side. This bolt right here on each side, right here. All right, so let's get started. Alright, so you want to break them loose, but not draw them out all the way until you get the top part loosened. And up here from the top side, you're going to loosen these three right here, this one, and this one. Okay guys, so if your Tahoe is equipped with electronic dampening suspension, it comes included with this little wiring harness. And there's a clip on the underside of it where my thumb is. You just press on the clip and pull up. See? This little clip right here. Put that off to the side. And loosen these nuts right here. These nuts are size 18 millimeter. Pull that up right there. It's like a It's just like a grommet that goes onto the stud to hold this wire in place. Alright, and you may need to get an extension just to get down in there. And you want to remove all but one, just to keep your strut from falling on you. Alright, so we got our two nuts removed and left one in place. So we have, so it doesn't fall on you when you take it out from the bottom side, when you loosen the bottom ones. So let's go back to the bottom now. Alright, so we're back underneath. You can just undo these by hand. If it's under too tight, just grab your ratchet and loosen it. So next, you grab your pry bar and you just pry it out. Okay, so our strut is just hanging in there. The only thing that's holding it in place now is this bolt. That's why we had said that we're gonna leave it in place so it don't fall on you. And so what you want to do is grab your strut with one hand and kind of lift it up and loosen your bolt from underneath here on the top side. And that'll release your strut. Here's our last nut. Okay, so we got our strut out, and you just can't really do this with one hand, but you just wiggle it out through the underneath, through the upper control arm. Just like that. Nope, not from the top, bottom, from the top. And there you have it, your front strut. Alright guys, so we got our stock strut assembly pulled out. And what I always do is, before I start on anything, is compare it to the new strut, just to make sure they're about the same size. And it looks like everything checks out, so let's get this new one installed. Alright guys, so before we continue, and this step is totally optional, is we got our strut taken off, and what I'm going to do is just come in here with a wire brush and knock some of this rust loose so I can spray some rust reformer. Or you can totally skip the step if you want. This is just your regular rust reformer. It doesn't have to be perfect, just regular coat should be good enough. Okay, so we're ready to install our new strut assembly back on. Come in from the top side, bring it down slightly lower, and then up. Take your washer, put it just on the front stud as well as your nut, and just thread it on there to hold it in place. Then you come up to the top side and do the other two. And these nuts that came with the strut assembly are actually 17mm, not 18. So depending on what strut assembly, aftermarket strut assembly you got, you'll have to make sure on the size of the bolts and nuts, just to make sure you don't strip them thinking that they're the same size as the stock. Alright, so we got those on there snug. Now let's go back to the bottom side and do our bottom. So this is what your bottom side should look like. There's the top, and this is where your pry bar comes into play. You want to pry this bottom ball, pry it up and into the on top of the lower control arm right here. This bar pin that goes through the center ball. So it's possible you may need to remove your sway bar link to give yourself a little play to be able to get the bar pin up on here. So remove your sway bar link, and that should help loosen up the lower control arm. So see if I can put it in there now. And there you have it. Just make sure you line yourself up before putting your bolts in. Again, you'll have to remove your sway bar link from the sway bar to be able to give yourself a little more play to get that in there. Okay, so before you put your bolts in through the bar pin, you want to get yourself a screwdriver or a hole punch, whatever can fit down in there, and line yourself up. And just waddle it in there on both sides. Then you take your bolts and drive them in by hand through the bottom. Alright guys, so we got our bottom mounting bolts in place here and here. So what I'm doing now is just screwing them on by hand until they're snug. Like that. It's almost going to be flush. So we're on the top side now, and we're ready to tighten down our top bolts. Now the reason I'm doing this with the ratchet and not the impact is that they have to be torqued down, so I don't want to risk using the impact and over torquing it if I press the trigger too long or too much. Alright, so we got these snugged up. Now you want to torque these down to whatever your strut assembly manufacturer recommends. Mine says 24 foot-pounds, but it may not be true for whatever struts you get. So make sure you read the instructions to see what your torque specifications are. There's one. Two. Three. 24 foot-pounds. And you go back down here and you place this little plastic attachment or grommet back on the stud. And your electronic dampening, you just click it on there. It's not going to work anymore because I have aftermarket shocks now. But I don't mind, because as long as you don't have electronic dampening shocks, it's always going to pop up on your dash service suspension system. But I don't mind having that flash on there. I can just erase it. It won't even click on there, so yeah, it won't even click on there, so we're just gonna leave that off altogether. I'll come back and zip tie this later, like that. And then you come down back here to torque these down to 50 foot-pounds. And like I said, don't forget to check the torque specs for your struts, because it may not be the same as mine. And you're probably gonna need a deep well or an extension to get up in there, because a shorty is not gonna do it. There you go, 50 foot-pounds. So we got everything tightened down. Everything looks good. The only thing that's missing is your sway bar link, but I'm not going to put that back on until I do the other side. Alright, so that is it for today's video. All there is left for me to do is to put the tire back on. And some important things to remember: make sure you have your vehicle jacked up safely and secure, your back wheels chocked or wedged, and if you've never broken the nuts and bolts loose from your suspension system, you may want to spray them with PB Blaster or some WD-40 to help break them loose. Let me know in the comments below you guys think I missed anything, questions, whatever. Let me know what you guys think about my choice of struts. And that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned to the channel, because I will be doing rear shock absorber installation as well. Thank you all for watching.